I never imagined that locking a Playboy in my office would lead to an unbelievable revelation. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air was thick with tension, each breath a heavy reminder of the pain and confusion swirling around me. My heart raced. I sat in my dimly lit office, alone, with nervous fingers tapping against the desk. And there he was, the infamous Jake. A charming smile, tousled hair, and a swagger that commanded attention. The kind of guy who made hearts flutter and heads turn. But today he was trapped. I pulled the door shut, feeling the weight of my decision. My pulse quickened as I remembered his reckless ways, the stories of broken hearts and whispered secrets that seemed to follow him like a shadow. He was troubly, a beautiful, irresistible trouble. My cheeks burned as he smirked at me, leaning back in his chair, as if he owned the world. Told you I'd find a way in, he teased, his voice dripping with confidence. But I could see the cracks in that facade, the fear hidden behind his playful banter. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I wasn't just locking him up. I was locking something deep within myself. Memories poured in, rushed whispers of betrayal. Late-night phone calls filled with tears. A heart once whole now shattered. Why are you really here, Jake? I demanded, my voice barely above a whisper. He glanced away, eyes darting towards the window, the city skyline blurring in the distance. For a moment, the silence was deafening, feelings tangled in the air like a storm ready to break. Then he sighed, a shaky, vulnerable sound. You don't understand. He started, but before he could finish, the sharp sound of a phone vibrating on my desk broke the moment. My hands trembled as I reached for it, the screen lighting up with a name I thought I'd never see again: Lila. My breath hitched. She had vanished months ago, leaving nothing but chaos in her wake. My mind raced. Why now? Could this all be connected? Suspicion coiled tight in my chest. I looked back at Jake, my heart thrumming painfully. What do you know about her? The playful mask slipped, revealing something deeper: pain, regret, the kind of sadness that makes your skin crawl. Everything, he whispered. But you want like it. Suddenly, the room felt smaller, my walls closing in as truth loomed over us. I took a step closer, the weight of his gaze pulling me in. What had I gotten myself into? What was the real story behind his charm, behind Lilith's disappearance? The air between us crackled with uncertainty, a thick fog of secrets hanging, waiting to spill. And as a storm brewed outside, I knew this would only complicate things further. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. My gaze pinned on Jake, the contours of his face marred by shadows, as unanswered questions loomed between us like uninvited ghosts. How could someone who seemed so self-assured carry such heavy burdens? What do you mean, everything? I pressed, my voice shaky, knowing I was stepping deeper into an abyss I was not sure I could escape. His hands fidgeted on the edges of the chair, a flicker of raw emotion cutting through his usual bravado. Lila, she wasn't just some girl. She was in way deeper than you think. He paused, his breath hitching, as memories flared in his eyes, deep, dark memories that hinted at a past I couldn't yet fathom. I know you think she just disappeared, but it wasn't that simple. He lowered his voice, and the intensity of his gaze held me captive. She was trying to break free from something meaningful. I didn't know until it was too late. The admission fell heavy, like lead weights anchoring my heart, resting uncomfortably in the pit of my stomach. Break free from what? Who? My frustration twisted in my chest, battling against the urgency to reassure the flickering hope that perhaps Lila had simply taken a different path, one that didn't involve shadows and betrayal. He closed his eyes briefly, as if gathering strength from a distant memory. I had my own demons at play. The kind that led me down a dark path, the kind I thought would never touch her. His hands quivered, and for an instant, vulnerability replaced the playful smirk. I should have protected her, but I pushed her away. I never realized what she faced. Each confession bled sincerity, the jagged edges of vulnerability breaking the tension that had suffocated the room. We were both trapped, him in my office, me in the webs of our entwined pasts. Jake, why are you here now? What do you want from me? The questions poured forth like water rushing down a broken dam. He ran a hand through his hair. His sigh weighted with remorse. I need your help. I hoped you might know where she is. Maybe she left a trail for you. Or his words faded, swallowed by the intoxicating silence heavy with unspoken fears. My heart sank at the realization that the sparks of hope I had briefly entertained were extinguished in an instant. I don't even know where to begin looking, I confessed, the bitter taste of helplessness creeping in. Outside, rain began to pelt against the window, a rhythmic beat that echoed the turmoil within me. Something about it felt cleansing and chaotic at once, much like the churn of feelings swirling around us. This discovery had cracked open a door I'd bolted shut, revealing shadows I'd long buried beneath old memories. As I contemplated the web that had ensnared us, the echoes of Lilith's laughter, the shards of my shattered trust, the office door creaked, and I jumped. The unanticipated intrusion shattered our fragile bubble. Standing there was my assistant, Mia, her face pale and troubled. Sorry, but there's something you need to see, she stammered, holding a slip of paper like it was a hot coal. That a sudden chill crept up my spine. What is it? My heart raced, beating in tandem with the rain. It was delivered to the front desk. It's for you, she said, her soft voice trembling as she handed it to me. Shaking fingers unfolded the note, each word plunging my heart further into darkness. It was a warning, scrawled in jagged letters. Stop digging into Lilith's past, or you'll be next. Fingers frozen midair. I glanced at Jake, lost in a turmoil of emotions. The silence in the room morphed into a breed of tension that felt tangible, each sharp breath amplifying the impending storm outside. A tumult of dread ingrained itself deep within me, weaving itself through our conversation like an insidious thread. What the hell? Jake mumbled, stepping closer, my shock painfully mirrored in his wide-eyed expression. This is worse than I thought. I crumpled the note in my hand, heart racing against the flood of uncertainty. We can't ignore this. If Lila was in danger, I can't just leave it. We need to find her. Jake nodded, a fierce determination igniting beneath his vulnerable surface. Then face it together. I won't let you go through this alone. But as fear intertwined with that flicker of hope, dread washed over me once again. What unseen forces had we awakened? And more importantly, would we even survive finding Lila, or would we become consumed by the very shadows we sought to uncover? As we stood on the precipice of this unknown, I felt our fragile alliance tested like never before, churning amid a brewing storm that I feared would engulf us both. The rain continued its relentless assault on the window, mirroring the tempest inside my chest. I could hear it pounding like a drum, accompanying the chaos that had erupted around us. The note, now crumpled tightly in my fist, burned against my palm, a tangible reminder of the very real danger we faced. We need to go, I said, my voice trailing off as the phrase settled heavily between us. Jake's gaze bore into mine, searching for reassurance even as dread danced like shadows at the corners of his eyes. You sure you want to do this? He asked, his tone a mixture of concern and something more profound, perhaps fear that I'd stumble further down a path laden with peril. That I have to. Lilith, my friend. The words came more fiercely than I anticipated, a determined surge pushing aside the anxiety that threatened to paralyze me. I couldn't stand to lose someone else, not after everything. I owe it to her. As we stepped into the rain-soaked night, the world around us transformed. The office lights dimmed behind us, swallowed by darkness, leaving only the glow of streetlights to guide our way. The air was sharp and sweet with the scent of wet asphalt and blooming night flowers, a cruel juxtaposition against the gnawing uncertainty in my gut. I know a place we can start looking, Jake said as we walked, his steps quickening, urgency steering us forward. There's an old warehouse on the outskirts of town. One of Lilith's contacts used to hang out there. If she was trying to hide before he could finish the thought, an intrusive doubt crossed my mind. What if it's a trap? What if someone's waiting for us? I barely recognized my own worry-laced voice, but the truth lingered like a ghost at my side. They won't know we're coming, and if they do? He flashed a defiant grin, a spark of mischief lighting his features once more. Then we'll just have to be smarter than them. That glimmer of hope flickered inside me, a reluctant bloom in the midst of the surrounding shadows. I marveled at how quickly he could shift from the burden of his past to determined confidence, but I couldn't cling to it too tightly. The storm still rumbled within my heart as we neared the warehouse. The streetlights began to grow sparse, the environment devolving into an eerie silence pierced only by the distant rumble of thunder. Jake threw me a sidelong glance, determination flickering behind his turbulent eyes. "Are you ready?" My throat felt dry, but I nodded, swallowing my apprehension. "Let's do this." Pushing open the rusty door, we stepped into the cavernous space. It smelled of dust and neglect, littered with remnants of the past crates stacked haphazardly against walls painted in peeling graffiti. I shivered as a gust of cold air swept through the room, unsettling the atmosphere, amplifying the unsaid fears that loomed like dark clouds above our heads. We crept forward, the crunch of broken glass beneath our feet echoing through the emptiness. "What exactly are we looking for?" I whispered, glancing around with wide eyes, the shadows stretching into unknown corners. "Anything that connects Lila to this place. Notes, contacts, something that might tell us who she was running from," Jake replied, his voice low, laden with urgency. Just as I was about to respond, a flash of movement caught my eye. A figure flickered at the far end of the warehouse, and my heart jumped into my throat. "Did you see that?" I breathed, my pulse racing with fear. Jake nodded, his expression sharpening. "Stay close." We moved cautiously towards the shape, adrenaline surging through our veins. And as we approached, the figure coalesced into someone I never could have expected to see. Greg. He was an old acquaintance of Lilith's, a man known for his questionable connections but equally dangerous charm. My heart bombarded my chest with a sense of both dread and hope, a twisted mixture of emotions I couldn't decipher. "Jake, Leah," he drawled, the smirk on his face going from playful to sinister as he stepped into the dim light. "What a surprise to find you here. I assume you're looking for Lila?" The sincerity of his question hung pregnant in the air, while my skin bristled with unease. "What do you know about her, Greg?" I demanded, taking a step forward, my heart pounding with desperate curiosity that coiled tight in my throat. He raised a brow, his confidence deceptive. "You're poking around things you don't really want to understand. But to be fair, Lila is still very much alive. The real question is, are you brave enough to find her?" Before I could respond, an earth-shaking crash echoed through the warehouse, the very foundations trembling around us as dust rained from the rafters above. In that moment, everything pivoted. The shadows we sought to escape now threatened to engulf us entirely. With adrenaline coursing through us, I turned to Jake, only to see the realization dawning in his Aisa warning that, deep down, I had already suspected. All the while, Greg's twisted grin lingered, veiling an unsettling connection as we stood at the brink of an answer that could unravel everything we thought we knew. The question now was, would the truth set us free or trap us in a web we could never hope to escape? The dust settled like a thick fog in the wake of the crash, creating an oppressive silence that urged us to listen for more than just the thundering of our own hearts. The moment stretched taut, straining against the uncertainty that surrounded us. Greg's presence morphed from mere annoyance to an alarming necessity. We needed him if we were to navigate this labyrinth of deceit and desperation. "Answer me, Greg," I said, trying to steady my voice, even as my insides churned with fear and urgency. "What do you mean Lila is alive?" He regarded me with a mix of amusement and something darker. "You've always